Have you ever looked at her, not just with your eyes, but with the intention of becoming the man who awakens something she forgot she could feel? Touch. It's one of the most underestimated forms of influence in existence. But you're not here to be average. You're here to unlock what no one else has dared to reach. And that starts by understanding one truth. Touch isn't about skin. It's about signal. It's a transmission of presence, power, and precision. Most men, they touch without meaning, without timing, without understanding the psychology that lives beneath the surface of an older woman's skin. But you're about to become different. Because today, I'm handing you a map. A layered, elegant blueprint of the 7 sacred places that, when touched the right way, can leave an older woman feeling deeply seen, emotionally stirred, and inescapably drawn to you. These aren't just physical locations. They are emotional gateways. Each one, when activated with subtlety and intention, creates a pull she can't explain and won't want to escape. But here's what separates you from the average man. You're not here to invade her space. You're here to earn it, to understand it, to command it, without ever needing to force it. Because when you do it right, your touch becomes a story she starts replaying in her mind, over and over, long after the moment is gone. Now hear this. The first 2 spots will light a fire of curiosity, but the 5th, that's the one that binds her to you emotionally, quietly, permanently. But before we dive in, do this. Subscribe now if you're ready to embody real influence. Hit like if you're not here to play it safe, but to transform, and keep watching. Because the deeper we go, the more she'll feel your presence. Number 1, the lower back. This is where the spell begins. The lower back, a place most men overlook, yet a place where true masculine influence is quietly felt. You don't just touch her there, you anchor her. Because when your hand rests, lightly, intentionally, on the small of her back, you're doing far more than offering contact. You're sending a signal, a subconscious cue that says, I've got you, you're safe here. And older women, they don't crave chaos. They crave stability disguised as seduction. The kind of presence that says, I know where I'm going, and you're coming with me. Imagine this. You're walking beside her, through a crowd, into a room, or simply up the stairs, and you place your hand gently, almost imperceptibly, just above her waist. No pressure, no force, just a calm, firm presence. What happens in her nervous system? She relaxes, not because you demanded it, but because something in her recognized your certainty. That's not touch, that's command through calm. This spot, it's not sexual, it's psychological. It tells her, this man knows how to lead without needing to speak. But here's where most men fail. They touch to take. You touch to transmit. Confidence, safety, subtle power. Because when done right, this small gesture rewires her body to associate your presence with peace. And once she associates you with peace, desire follows, trust follows, and everything else opens from there. Touch her lower back like it's the hinge to a deeper reality. Because it is. This isn't dominance, it's direction, and direction is irresistible. 2, the nape. Now lean in, because this next move isn't about touch, it's about access. You see, the nape of her neck isn't just skin, it's a signal hub, a place where every nerve ends up whispering directly into her emotional core. And when you know how to approach it, you unlock a reaction no words can replicate. But here's what most never understand. The nape isn't where you grab her attention, it's where you earn it. Older women are deeply intuitive. Their guard is trained, their instincts razor sharp. They've learned who touches out of need and who touches from knowing. And you, from this moment forward, are the second. Picture this, you're close. A conversation flows quietly between you. Laughter, shared space, a glance that lingers, and then the tip of your fingers brushes just behind her hairline. Nothing overt, nothing rushed, just a breath-soft stroke across the nape. Intentional, invisible, magnetic. What happens? Her shoulders pause. Her breath deepens. Her subconscious tilts toward you before she even realizes it. Because that part of her body, it remembers things her mind forgot. The thrill, the softness, the intimacy she believed had faded with time, and now you've reawakened it. But here's the secret. This is never about pressure. You're not rubbing, you're not grasping, you are inviting with the lightest, most respectful signal possible. You are speaking her language without ever using a word. A whisper of touch on the nape says, I notice you where others don't. I honor what others overlook. That's power, that's presence, and that's influence of the rarest kind. So the next time you stand close, don't overthink, don't overdo. Just let your fingertips offer the kind of presence that lingers long after you've walked away. She'll feel it in her spine, in her memory, in the part of her that begins to wonder. That's because you're not just touching her nape. You're writing a story into her nervous system, one she'll replay over and over until she's ready to feel it again. Number 3, the arm. You're speaking, she's listening. But connection isn't built with words alone, because in the right moment, when your fingertips meet her arm with just the right softness, something ancient wakes up. You're not just making contact, you're building a bridge. See, the arm is often ignored, but for a woman, especially one who's lived, who's felt, this area holds powerful emotional wiring. It's where gestures become memory. It's where touch becomes trust. Imagine this. You're in the middle of a conversation, not about seduction, but something real. She's opening up. You're listening, really listening. And as she speaks, you gently let your hand rest against her forearm, just for a moment. No grabbing, no tension, just presence, anchored through your touch. That simple gesture, it creates more intimacy than 1,000 compliments ever could. Because here's what most men don't realize. The arm is her emotional readout. Touch it right, and she feels seen, held, safe, touched in a way that mirrors the depth of the conversation itself. And the beauty? It's universal. Whether you're sitting across from her, walking side by side, or leaning in with a point that matters, the arm is always there, waiting to be used as a silent amplifier of connection. Let your hand move naturally, like your words just flowed into your fingertips. Let it reinforce what your eyes already told her. I'm here, with you, for this. She'll feel it, and unconsciously, she may begin to lean closer, not because she's thinking about it, but because her nervous system is aligning with yours. That's not random, that's architected attraction. And when done right, she won't even remember what you said, only how she felt in that moment, under your hand. 4, the knee. This one, it sneaks in quietly, because the knee, it doesn't scream for attention, it's not provocative, and that's exactly why it works. To most men, the knee is just anatomy. To you, it becomes an invitation to create warmth, permission, and pull. Picture this. You're beside her, soft music in the background, a movie playing, or maybe you're just sipping wine and letting the silence speak louder than words. And then, your hand finds her knee, not by accident, not to take, but as a gentle offering of comfort, of presence, of you. This isn't about pressure. This isn't about pushing a boundary. This is about signaling something deeper. I'm here, I see you, and I know how to make you feel something you forgot you missed. When you touch a woman's knee, lightly, purposefully, you create a tension loop. It's calm on the surface, but underneath, it's charged. Because this spot, it's accessible, it's personal, and when touched right, it says everything you don't have to. And here's what she feels even if she can't explain it. Safety, presence, invitation. You're not grabbing her, you're grounding her. And if you do it right, your hand resting gently, your energy unshakable, she'll begin to associate your nearness with something that feels like home. She'll lean in, not physically at first, emotionally, because in a world of men who rush, you just proved you can pause. And that pause, that's where trust turns into tension. So next time you're seated side by side or brushing past each other mid-laugh, let your hand settle on her knee for a beat longer than expected. Just enough for her body to register. He knows what he's doing. And just like that, you've touched her without rushing. You've awakened something without a word. You've left a mark without leaving a trace. Now the next move? It's not just about closeness, it's about control, through care. 5, the waist. There's a moment where everything shifts. It's not loud, it doesn't announce itself, but when it happens, she feels it. It's when your hand meets her waist, not to pull her, not to claim her, but to hold her, just enough to say, I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. The waist is unlike any other place you've touched. It's where a woman unconsciously stores memory of who held her too tightly, of who never held her at all, of who made her feel wanted, and who made her feel like a burden. You're here to rewrite all of that, because the moment your hand rests softly around her waist, with no rush, no urgency, just clarity, you become the man her body trusts instinctively. It's not just affection, it's not just touch, it's alignment. Picture it. You're walking together, maybe dancing, maybe sitting close. Your hand finds the curve of her waist, and without saying a word, you offer something rare. Stability inside closeness. Not dominance, not hesitation, just a grounded masculine energy that says, whatever's around us, you're safe here. And here's the twist. The waist is a threshold. When touched with reverence, it stirs something ancient in her. A memory of being held, not hunted, of being seen, not scanned. It triggers a subconscious whisper, he's not like the others, because you're not. And this touch proves it. Don't grip, don't slide, just be present. Let your palm rest, steady, warm, conscious. Let your breath match hers. Let her feel that you are not distracted by anything. And in that stillness, she softens. She surrenders, not to you, but to how she feels in your presence. That's the spell. That's the mark of a man who doesn't chase attention. He commands it. And this moment, this one, she won't forget it. Even hours later, lying alone in bed, she'll remember the way your hand made her feel held, not handled. Because when you touch her waist the right way, you don't just pull her close. You pull her into a version of herself she wants to become around you. And that, brother, is the very definition of influence. Number 6, the hands. You've touched her arm, you've steadied her waist, but now you offer something far more dangerous, your hand. Not to take control, but to say something only the soul understands. I'm fully with you in this moment. Nothing else exists. Because when you reach for her hand, slowly, gently, without hesitation, you're no longer just the man who knows where to touch. You become the one she feels safe to be touched by. The hand is public, visible, vulnerable. It's not about seduction now. It's about ritual, a signal to her nervous system that says, this moment is real. You're not alone. Imagine this. You're across from her. Maybe it's a cafe, a quiet park, a dimly lit booth after hours of deep conversation. You're not reaching to grab. You're not trying to impress. You simply extend your hand and wait. Let her place hers into yours. And when she does, don't move. Just hold it. Soft, still. A connection with no agenda. And that's what makes it so magnetic. You'll feel her fingers relax. You'll see her breath shift. Her entire body softens into your presence, not because you pushed, but because you allowed. Here's what's happening beneath the surface. Her subconscious is registering this as safety, not just physical, but emotional. It's rare, it's sacred, and when done right, it leaves a mark deeper than desire. Because you've entered the part of her mind that longs to feel chosen again, not for what she gives, but for who she becomes in your hands. This isn't strategy, this is alchemy. So when you hold her hand next, do it with stillness. Let your thumb glide across the back of hers, like it's memorizing her story. Let your silence say, I see you, I respect you, and if you let me, I'll lead you somewhere beautiful. And the moment you let go, she'll miss the feeling, more than she'll ever admit. Because you didn't just hold her hand, you held a part of her that was waiting to be seen again. 7. The wrist. This isn't a move, this is a moment, so subtle, so unspoken, that when done right, it becomes a memory she can't erase. Because the wrist isn't about access, it's about invitation. It's delicate, exposed, unshielded, and in that lies its power. You're no longer touching her like a man who wants something. You're now touching her like a man who already knows what she feels, but waits for her to realize it. Picture this. You're close. Her guard is down. The space between you thick with meaning. You take her hand, and then you let your fingers trace, just once, the soft, pulsing inside of her wrist. Maybe it's followed by a kiss, or maybe you let that touch linger in silence. Because this isn't about lips, it's about electricity. That patch of skin, so thin, so rarely touched, is a gateway to her nervous system. And you've learned how to speak directly to it. You're not demanding arousal, you're inviting surrender. And her body knows it, her pulse knows it. The wrist is a paradox. It's fragile, but it's where blood flows fastest. It's where she feels everything. When you touch her there, it's as if the world quiets. Your fingers, soft as breath, remind her you're still desirable, still seen, still powerful in your femininity. And that, brother, that awakens her in places no one else has reached in years. She may not speak it, but she'll lean closer, or her breath will catch, or her eyes will soften and stay locked on yours. And in that instant, she's not remembering your words. She's remembering how your presence made her feel like a woman again. Not a role, not an age, a woman, desired, alive, electric. And that's the difference between every other man and you. You've made it to the end. But this is where influence actually begins. Now you know how to touch her mind, through her skin. But knowing isn't enough. Become the man who uses it. Drop a comment. I'm ready to lead her deeper. Let the world know you're not like the rest. Subscribe now to the Stoic Architect, because this wasn't just a lesson. It was your initiation. And when you use what you've learned, she won't just remember the touch. She'll remember you.